You know, guys, I skipped like a whole paragraph. Okay. This is a one-speaker meeting. Please welcome our speaker. Oh, what's your name? Larry.
Oh, stop it. My name's Larry Thomas. I'm an alcoholic. And I want to thank old what's-her-name for having me come out here. Starting to clear the room already. I want to thank Dave for inviting me out to be with you guys, and it's good to see some of my friends here, and I want to congratulate the birthday people and welcome the newcomers. And I made a mistake today. I started listening to some talk radio, and early this morning they mentioned something about that they had a treatment for alcoholism in Switzerland, and they have this pill. And I thought, shit, I wonder what 2 would do. Can you crush them up? Can you cook them? You know, I'm a loser. I'm a plumber, so I'm going to try to work a miracle. I'm trying to get done within a half hour. Dave, I met Dave several years ago. I was speaking at a roundup in Bakersfield, and I get the big ones. And we were sharing the hotel with 2,000 Jehovah's Witnesses that weekend. And I had a tremendous desire to get up around 3 o'clock in the morning and grab a grapevine and go door to door. You know Bill and Bob love you. I don't know. My sponsor tells me that I'm living proof that a man can stay sober for a little over 25 years and not amount to a goddamn thing. I don't know where you think you're going, but I tell you, the highest I ever got here was sober, basic, active member of my own home group. I get any higher than that, I'll probably go to meetings in San Diego or something, but I don't need to be any higher than that. For a long, long time, you forgot these. For a long, long time, I come to Alcoholics Anonymous to get things, and the more I tried to get something, the worse I got. Alcoholics Anonymous is about giving, and I don't want no part of that. I'm a something-for-nothing guy. All my life I've had my hand out, and nothing was different when I come to Alcoholics Anonymous. When am I going to get mine, you know? Give me the bottle, I'll pay you later. Give me the bag, I'll pay you later. Give me all this happy, joyous, and free, and I'll do the amends later, you know? Along with being an alcoholic, I got a 5-inch belt of lazy ass that straps around me where my entire life I had this ego that was telling me I deserved certain things, and I had this laziness about me and this arrogance that I didn't want to earn a damn thing. And I grew up my entire life doing average things expecting standing ovations. Yeah, you know, I go to work and I think the boss is in the office going, Jesus, God damn, man, that guy put in 8 hours work, man. They don't make them like that anymore, you know. And it's amazing how let down you're going to be when people aren't amazed that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing anyway, you know what I mean? I put a toilet seat on for my wife, a new Maples toilet seat, And me and Rosie are busy in AA, and I waited 4 months for that lady to say something. And every night we'd come home from our meetings, she'd go into the bathroom, and I'd go to the bedroom, and she'd be in there, and I would just be rocking. Man, how selfish can you be? You know? What are they teaching these women at these stag meetings, you know? And, I finally had to tell her. I said, who do you think put that toilet seat on, you know? God, you know? It was old Lawrence of Torrance that bolted that baby on there, you know? She goes, I know, and it's loose, too, you know? And, I come from some good folks. I was born in Detroit, and I come out to California when I was about 4 years old and brought up in a foster home and stuff over in Gardena and everything. And my mom's a beautiful little lady. My mom, little Scandinavian lady, and my mom loves speed. My mom was always eating diet pills and running around the house around 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, or sorting out nuts and bolts around midnight, you know, raking the neighbor's yard around 4 o'clock in the morning, you know. Every now and then she'd get the prescription filled and just start up the edger and do the whole goddamn block, you know. And no matter what time you got up, she was up, you know. Just doing shit, you know, and her favorite thing was to make these Afghans. And everything in the house had a fresh Afghan. Couches had Afghan, chairs had Afghans. My dad's golf clubs had little poodles she knit, you know. And any animals, they had a fresh vest on, you know. And everything was tight and pink, you know. And just a busy lady, you know. And her hobby was to get that prescription filled and do these big jigsaw puzzles, these 20 million piece jigsaw puzzles, you know, of the Mojave Desert, you know. It's going to be a beige night, man, you know. And she owned one moo-moo her entire life, you know, and she'd go down to Save-Ons to get her carton of Raleigh cigarettes, because they had coupons, and she'd save the coupons to buy more yarn. It was a hideous cycle she was caught up in, you know. And she'd come home and plop that card table open, you know, and take her a couple more Dexies and make these big jigsaw puzzles. And if she had a piece that didn't fit, well, she had a big pair of toenail clippers, and she'd snip that son of a bitch down, you know. And she had a job to do, you know, and the diet was working. Hell, she was down to a stick, you know, and I knew that lady loved me. I knew that lady loved me, make no mistake about that, and I don't ever want to forget coming out of an institution one time on an April morning, and my mom hadn't seen me for a while. And I'm standing in this parking lot of this dry cleaners, and I'm about here from that wall, and it's a morning and it's raining, and I got my street mud on, and I'm staring at her, and the only thought that I have is she better have a buck. For me to walk over to that lady and ask her for $1, for her to break out her little wallet she got from Woolworths, and a picture of me falls out when I'm 8 years old and I'm on a Little League team. And she gives me $1 and then $2. And then as she gives me the money, I turn to walk away, and she says, what would it cost to get my son back? And for me to run off to Wilmington and die. But the thing that I never want to forget is you take that same man and sober him up and bring him to Alcoholics Anonymous and stick him in a meeting like this. And you put the secretary of a meeting that same distance from me as my mom. How come I can't ask that secretary for a commitment in a meeting, but I can walk over and use my mom one more time? If my alcoholism doesn't kill me, my selfishness and my self-centeredness will. Make no mistake about that. And the longer I stay sober, the deeper it gets, and the more necessary it becomes for me to practice this way of life. I'm not a speaker that'll tell you, in my first 2 years I did this and this and this, and now after 20 years everything's wonderful. I still do the same things that I did when I was new. I have commitments in my meeting. I'm a coffee maker and a coffee pot cleaner and a cookie lady. That don't make me wonderful or anything, but it keeps my ego small enough to be useful. I don't ever want to become bigger than my meetings and get so complacent that I get closed-minded to what's happening here because I got over 20 years. Keeping an open mind is the hardest thing you have to do the longer you stay sober, because we become so sure of what we have that we closed-minded to anything new coming in. And I've got to be open-minded to new things that people are, not new ways of doing AA, but perhaps it may be new ways that maybe I can approach some amends or do this thing, you know. I don't want to be that closed-minded. My dad was a happy drunk. My dad was a happy singing the blues, Nat King Cole, Bobby Darin drunk. My dad loved to drink and sneak into his own damn house. It was an amazing thing. And he would always sneak in my bedroom window, you know, and I could tell because he had these big refinery boots on, you know, and he'd be coming down through that window on my chest, you know, and I caught him one night. I grabbed that little boot and I said, hey, I said, you know, why don't you have Mom make you a set of keys? My God, she's up anyway, you know, I mean, I can hear the Hoover going now, you know. But my dad frightened me because he was the epitome of being a man. I mean, he's the kind of guy that starts things and finishes them. He's the kind of guy that hangs in no matter what. He's a World War II vet. And he used to tell me, you don't know how good you got it, back when I was your age. And he was absolutely right. I never know how good I got it. One of my assets is not gratitude. I guarantee you that. I've got to be beaten half to death to be grateful for my next breath. And then that's whisked away by ego, you know. Yeah, I've never been grateful. My dad was a hard-working guy, and I wanted to be like my dad, and I love my dad. But around 11 years old, I knew there was no chance. Around 11 years old, I felt like a lost crop duster, just, you know. And around 11 years old, there was 4 kids and me, and we were in a garage, and we started passing around a bottle of 4 Rose whiskey. And for the first time in my life, that little crop duster leveled out. It evened out the playing field. And I no longer was restless, irritable, or discontented, or had that chunk of fear running through me. And that idea that I ain't nothing and never gonna be nothing. I stopped dreaming a long, long time ago because every time I would have a dream, 15 seconds later, I would talk myself out of it and tell myself, you're not gonna make it, man. You're never gonna amount to nothing. And all my life, people around me were telling me, you're never gonna change. You're gonna wind up like these guys you're hanging around with. And I took a shot of 4 Rose whiskey, and it did something to me. It answered a dream and a prayer that I had long before I come to Alcoholics Anonymous, but one that would follow me through growing up. And that is, one of these days, I want to think and feel and be normal, because there's a part of me that's not. And I don't know how to get that out of my head. And every time I stop drinking, the louder it gets. And I'm surrounded by people that are telling me that if I don't drink, everything's going to be all right. And I don't drink, and everything is not all right. And I come to these meetings, and I see these guys with these ties on telling me stuff like, 30 days ago, I was on the streets of Los Angeles. Now I'm the president of the Bank of America. Thank you, you know. And I go, my God, I came in with that guy, you know. Everybody's always looked like they've had it made, and I knew I was a loser and there was nothing I was going to do. But my head's always had power over me, man. I didn't know how to shut that thing up. I didn't know how to quiet that thing down. And you know, the funny thing about it is that when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, I was fooled too. See, because all my life I thought if I would just have some type of normal living, everything would be all right. And I had no idea what normal living was, but I'm an alcoholic. I always compare myself to other people. And they're never in my league. I always compare myself to the lawyer across the street. Going, one of these days, I'm going to be like that guy. I'm going to have a car like that. I never compare myself to people in my own league, you know. And I'd come to Alcoholics Anonymous, and to the untrained eye, it looks like that's what happens here. That people stop drinking, and they get little jobs, and they get little hotels, and they get little cars. And to the untrained eye, it looks like the treatment for alcoholism is normal living. And nothing could be further from the truth, because there's people sitting in this room tonight with every material instinct satisfied. They couldn't fit another car in their driveway, and they are restless, and they're irritable, and they're discontented, and they start telling themselves that maybe AA ain't good enough. Maybe they need another answer, when they're not applying the solution to our disease. Our disease isn't going out there and getting jobs and money. That happens with just hard work and good fortune. But the answer to this disease is me, you, and that book and that car talking about alcoholism and the solution of. Not just coming here and dumping what happened today and the flat tire and the bitch kicked me out of the house and all that stuff. But I've got this head that tells me I'm about ready to drink. I've got a body that says no and a mind that says, one more time, kid. This will be different, man. Just one more time. I've got the type of body that no matter how bad the bottom is, I keep on setting up home. I hit these bottoms and I start furnishing them, you know. The house is on fire and I want to recarpet the place. Come on in, goddammit, you know, because I'm an alcoholic. I'm an alcoholic. Hitting a bottom, I mean, and I hear people in AA, they said, yeah, my last drunk kept me sober. The memory of my last drunk kept me sober. The memory of my last drunk, baby, is pushed away by the pain that I feel today. I ain't drinking because of memories. I'm drinking about how I feel right now. And I can't shut this head off. And I can't even manufacture any gratitude. And it tells me this time it'll be different, champ. No matter how chunks of liver, sentences to the wherever I'm going again, you know, people begging, little kids, loved ones. Alcoholic is the only one that'll push that aside for, you know what, maybe this time it'll be different. Maybe if we had some Old English and some Seconal, you know. Let's try that, you know. Don't push this sobriety thing, you know. I can't admit that I'm an alcoholic. Why? Because that means I won't be able to drink. And I can't imagine life without it. All my life I've died because I've been looking for that middle-of-the-road answer. There's got to be a middle-of-the-road answer. No one likes to admit that he's an alcoholic or live a spiritual way of life. You got that right. Science may one day accomplish this, but they haven't done so yet. And I'm thinking, God, are they still looking? You know, hang in there, baby, you know. You know, you guys are saying 24 hours a day, but I know you mean forever. And baby, that's a long time. That's over a week. You know? I started drinking at 11 years old, and I didn't head out to Skid Row, but I got the address because I knew that I had my ace in the hole. That was my secret. That was the one that was going to even out the playing field. You guys had your education. You guys were good at math. You guys were good at English. You guys were good looking. I had the thing that evened out the playing field for me. Shot a 4-rose whiskey with my old man's wine. Worked every time. I'm a freshman in high school. I started dating this little Mexican girl, and her brothers like lowered cars, and I like lowered cars, and we used to lower our Chevrolets down and get our hair up real big like a Bakersfield tumbleweed and listen to the Four Tops and the Temptations and the OJs and Marvin Gaye, and God, I loved it, man. I was in my plumbing truck today, and the Four Tops came on. I just start sinking in my damn truck. I had my hair up real big like a Bakersfield tumbleweed. I had a white T-shirt with black khaki pants that came up to here. Some of the women were telling me that men who were well endowed had big feet, so I had a pair of 15-inch shoes, you know. Driving around, eating those Reds and drinking that wine, wondering what the hell you're staring at, you know. We got the frowns on our faces because our asses hurt from driving around all night, man. And I ran into a kid like that not too long ago. I was up at the Glendale Mall a couple years ago, and this kid walks by me. He's got a bald head, a tank top on. He's all tatted down. He's got these big pants you could put about 5 guys in. He has 3 phones because he's an important kid, you know. He's got his mom's earrings on. He's got a ball bearing in here. He's got a diamond. He's got a safety pin in his eye. He's got his cheek pinched with some shit, you know. A ball bearing in his tongue. He's got a chain to his wallet. And I walk by him, he goes, "What are you looking at?" I says, "I don't have a damn clue what I'm looking at, you know. Beats the shit out of me what I'm looking at, you know." And we started talking and stuff, and now I sponsor the kid. Lives down there in Chula Vista. His name's Ron. Ron would call me up. "Spons, what do you want me to do?" And I said, "Well, Jesus, Ronnie, why don't you unlock yourself, man, you know? Come on out of there, man, you know." "Well, I go to these meetings and I feel so different." "Really?" I said, "Well, maybe you're the only one wrapped up in a chain link fence, Ron. How about that, you know?" I mean, yeah, I understand that. You know, that ain't about being bad or being tough or anything. It's about images. And I've had an image all my life to hide behind, whether it be a little lowrider or a little loser or come to AA and be a little slipper. I've always had a little image to hide behind. And believe me, when I run out of images, I got my ace in the hole. And that's my hostility. That always keeps them at bay. But the whole game is to keep you away, because you can't get in there and find the loser. Can't find the guy that's not even close to being a man. Have no idea what a man is. It took people in Alcoholics Anonymous to teach me what a man was. And we've seen some men here tonight. We've said men giving cakes, taking cakes, setting up meetings, being good members of AA. Things that you could never tell me make a man. That you don't have to yell and hurt people anymore. Just to be even. It's an amazing thing to have your head quiet down to at least two voices. You and that goddamn radio. You know. It's an amazing thing, Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't ever want to return to that. So I'll go to Culver City. I'll do the uncomfortable to get comfortable, because I know what the payoff is. Quiet head. My heart goes all over the place, but I got a quiet head sometimes, and I tell you, I love that. And I tell you, I bounced around with those guys for a long time, and I knew everything I'd ever want in life I'd find in that little car. And in 1969, everybody's going to Vietnam and doing some other things, and I thought, well, maybe I'd find my roots and go back to Detroit. And I wound up in Phoenix, and I was over off of Central and Roosevelt at the Apache Hotel. It's about $35 a month, and I can't find the dough. So I just look out my window, and I drink, and I dream, and I die, and I go to work for a plumber the next day, and he sticks me underneath a house, and he wants me to start stringing pipes. And I'm underneath that house, and I got a pint of Kessler's, I got a transistor radio, some cat staring at me over here, you know. Crawl over to the little crawl space, and I look out, and I said, Jesus Christ, I'm on top of the world. I mean, I'm underneath a house, but I'm on top of the world. I got a pint, I got a radio, I'm getting paid by the hour, nobody knows I'm under here. Got a cat, never had a pet before. Bang on the pipes every hour to let them know I'm hard at work, you know. Start drinking that Kessler, and 9 hours later they're dragging me out from underneath that house. Apparently he got drunk and busted up through the bedroom and took all the ladies' jewelry and brought it underneath the house, you know, and went back up there and took everything out of the medicine chest. You know what? I gotta tell you why I wanted to be a plumber. Is because I knew, and I knew that once I was in your house, I could look through your medicine chest. You too? Yeah. And I would go in there and I would do a little job, and if you had some goodies in there that I liked, I would leave a pair of channel locks there and come back later. And when I got sober, I was afraid to do that again because I couldn't be trusted because I was sober. You know what I mean? Left unattended, you know what I mean? And it took me a while to get back into the craft. But I got fired from that job, and anyway, I hooked up with some guy down there at the Wagon Wheel Bar, Ernie. Ernie was an idea man. Ernie said, Larry, he says, I know how we're going to get you some money and make me some money. He says, not far from here is a horse track. He says, we're going to get you down to 95 pounds, and you're going to be a jockey. And I figured, well, we're going to start working out and stuff, and he says, I want you to take some of this. And he had a bag of speed. And I never had that stuff, you know. I'm coming to AA for Christ's sakes. I can't take that, you know. And I just been doing heroin and drinking and minding my own business. And he says, I just want you to take this, and I'll come back in 2 months and weigh you in. And the guy takes off. And he comes back 2 weeks later, and I'm in the same doorway. I don't want to be jockey, Ernie. I'm going faster than any goddamn horse I've ever seen in my life, you know. And I haven't left my room. I've just been chasing a fly around there for a week and looking out my window because I see these black and white flashes, you know, and that's the damn sun going up and down, you know. Worst 10 days of my life, you know, and so I started working for another guy, and I found out that he was younger than me, and I ain't gonna work for a kid, so I did what any honorable man would do. I faked a knee injury. And they sent me down to the emergency ward, and on the way there, I got me a pint of Kessler's, and they gave me a prescription for Percodan, And I met some guys at the bar, and they knew some guys in Tucson, and long story short is we started writing prescriptions and selling them. I started writing prescriptions for Seconal and Nembutal and Tuinal, and you name it all, we wrote it all. Damn near took it all, too. And after about 9 months, they caught up with me, and you know, when you're on barbiturates and whiskey, there's no freeway chase. You know, it's just a matter of the sheriff coming into the Busy Bee Hotel going, there he is under there. You know? So they convicted me and put me away for a little while. In 1974, they gave me a $45 voucher to come back to Los Angeles, and I signed up over at LA City Hall. And they gave me a room in downtown Torrance at the Greyhound Hotel. It was about $35 a month. And I looked out my window, and I drank, and I dreamed, and I died. And I didn't know what to do. But I was 2 months without drinking or using. And they found me at a Little League dugout in El Segundo, California at 10 o'clock in the morning, absolutely out of my mind. In between hysterical and maniacal and so paranoid I was hallucinating. They didn't know what to do with me, so the paramedics come and they diagnosed that some of my drug overdoses and the size of my jacket, that maybe I need to go to a state hospital and be observed for a half hour for 30 days. And a year later, they let me out over there by Oxnard. And they told me that I wouldn't be able to operate unless I took this stuff called liquid shock and Thorazine. And they were absolutely right, because after 2 months I ran out of Thorazine. And in 1975 they found me over at Olvero Street, curled up at a Chevron station, a public drunk, a public nuisance. And they rolled me up to Wayside, and I was up there for about 3 months, and they put about 50 of us in a black and white bus and sent us down to the South Bay Courthouse. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm in a holding tank about this size, and there's nothing but me and bologna sandwiches. And I wonder where I'm going next, because we're always going somewhere. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a Scottish man with a patch showed up at this jail cell, and he said, "Are you Larry Thomas?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I am." He said, "Why don't you come with me, son? We're going to AA." And I thought, well, those are two initials I've never heard of before. I've heard of OR and PO, but what's AA? And what's this Scottish pirate doing here, you know? And this man came there unsolicited. He had no business being there. He wasn't on a panel. He wasn't a probation officer or part of the court. He was a refinery worker that just got the worst news of his life, and that his wife was dying of a terminal disease. And he knew that she was in good hands, but he knew he wasn't. But somewhere in his meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous like this one, he grasped and developed a manner of living which told him that practical experience tells him that nothing will insure him from drinking than intensive work with other alcoholics, that this works when other activities fail. And he turned his car around and went to the courthouse, and he asked Judge Foy and Judge Hollingsworth, and they said, "I think we got a guy you can talk to." And Alex came down there and took me to my first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous in 1975. He took me for about a 5-minute car ride to a little club over in Torrance called the TLC Club. And he rolled up to this club and introduced me to a little lady named Moose and Indian Jeannie and Captain Bob and Tennessee Bill and Singin' Sam and Serenity Sam and Bicycle Ray and Santa Claus Ray and Dancing Pete and Whistling Butt. And I thought, oh my God, I just left a group of people like this, you know. And little Moose come running after me. "Hi, honey, I'm expecting a miracle." I said, "I bet you are." I said, "I'm not it, you know." And some transvestite came out of the card room and he started circling me like a helicopter, and he finally landed and he said, "You know, I can't wait to take you to a candlelight meeting." I said, "I don't think so, you know. Not till I get a year anyway, you know." And I said, "My God, that guy's got big feet, you know." From 1975 to 1982, I came in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous on a regular basis. 30 days and get drunk, and 60 days and get drunk, and the longest I could stay sober was because I was on heroin. And all I would do is get physically sober and mentally ill, and that don't make me a worse alkie or a better member. But what it did prove to me is that if I didn't change, my sobriety date would. And I don't have the power to change. It wasn't a problem admitting I was an alcoholic, but I had a real problem admitting I was powerless. And that I'll never get so sober that I can't get drunk again. But I can get so drunk I can't make it back again. If my head ever gets this idea that I don't need you anymore, I'm a dead man. You're the only answer I've ever had. You're the only answer that I need. And the only thing that I can tell you is that after 25 years, I didn't come to Alcoholics Anonymous and it shielded me from life's little bullets. What it did is stick me smack dab in the middle of life, and it gave this young punk a chance to grow up with other young punks. And shoulder to shoulder, you folks taught me how to show up and just take my place. It ain't a bigger place and it ain't a smaller place. It's just my place. Just be one among many. The hardest place for an alcoholic to be, because he's got this uniqueness about him that doesn't want to fit in anywhere. But my sponsor told me a long time ago, Larry, seek ye first the kingdom. Put all your efforts into staying sober, son, and the rest of your life will take care of itself. But the more you start peckering around with your personal life, the more Alcoholics Anonymous will become a bother. And the only thing that I can tell you, folks, is that after 25 years, anything that you need to make you happy will be given to you by the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And anything that hinders that happiness will be removed by the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. If you be alcoholic, your search is over. Your search is over. You don't have to look for nothing anymore. It's all right here. If you just learn to do the uncomfortable to get comfortable. I don't know nothing about God. I was not brought up in any type of religion. You people in this room were the first ones that reflected any type of spirituality in my life. And I used to talk for a man in Flagstaff every year, a guy by the name of Frank Hanna. And Frank had a beautiful home. And no matter what window you looked out of this home, he had a peak view of the mountain range. Whether you looked out of the den or the bathroom or the kitchen, you had a peak view. And as I stand here tonight in Culver City, every year of my life I got a window. And in every window you're in it. I can't look out of a window of my life without seeing the people of Alcoholics Anonymous, and the thought of a God or anything like that doesn't enter my mind that much because I'm not looking for what he looks like. But tonight I see row after row of people who should be dead. And make no mistake about it, we've been playing in the evidence all night. Thank you.